Much for making this film. Okay, officially recording now. So I was saying thank you so much for making this film. I mean, it's such a visceral subject, and I think even when I first, before I just saw the trailer and I saw that there was like moments of positivity in the film, which kind of prepared me to be able to watch that. Um, but it's such a difficult subject in terms of its subject, but also how are you going to represent it visually? I think every time I've read about acid attacks and you're thinking, how is such a film going to be made? So,
Right.
congratulations on making a very moving, touching, and not a story of pity, but a story of courage.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for everyone who came to watch this film. I'm glad that it resonated with you.
Um, I think my first question I want to pick up from your log line, which says that, or the title of the film, Ayena, and you said that in the process of making the film, you felt that in the lives of the protagonist, you felt was a reflection of your own life and of society. So, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think more or less it was a way of seeing which I was questioning, kind of like the human gaze which is formed and how we are automatically conditioned to have when we see that there's more or less an abnormality in a facial structure because that's your first way of identification of a human being. It's rather takes a while for us to go deeper inside and get to really know the human being. So this is something which I was trying to really understand for ourselves because it also is the root of the cause of the attack as well, right? So there was the entire purpose is to destroy that person's face, along with it its beauty, along with it its in a way agency, everything diminish is supposed to diminish. And what is very powerful is that these women they don't let that happen. And it's a hard fight back, so it's not easy. And that's what I also wanted to show, that it's not a story of heroic story of someone making it out and making it big. It's more of the daily negotiations one has to make every day, the questions one is posed in a marketplace or at home even while you're resting. But at the same time, there is still a lot of courage and a lot of fire for life inside. So kind of this balance of this two showed me a lot of things about what humanity can be like.
So you started making this film at the end of 2015 and were kind of following the protagonist for almost 5 years. Um, and this is Siddhant's first feature length documentary feature length. So Siddhant, when you first got the idea, were you quite prepared that you were going to make a film about this? And how did the protagonists? I mean, I see Ritu is quite comfortable being in front of the camera, but how did the other protagonists react to a film being made about them?
So initially, when I got to know about this, I was looking through newspaper articles and I found a lot of images and videos of women smiling and laughing after having scarred faces. And more you read about it, it was feeling very contradictory. So that's why I was curious to know exactly what is going on. How can you have so much zest for life when you've gone through such a traumatic incident? So I went there, and then the first two people who I interacted were with Ritu and Farah. Ritu is extremely bubbly and outgoing, whereas Farah was a bit more reserved. She took more time. Even Anshu was a bit more reserved. But nonetheless, I think both with Ritu and Farah, they were very warm and inviting initially, and after their work, they basically called us over and after like at 10, 11 in the night. And this is we were complete strangers, we didn't know each other. So but this happened repeatedly, so it was like these hangout sessions post work became a regularity. And then like a friendship developed. And of course, they knew that I was interested in making a film from the start, and they also were keen to express themselves. Both of us did not, or like all of us did not know that it's going to take 5 years. Initially, I did not even go with the intent of making such a long film. So it was through interactions, through mutual desire, that such a project came out. There was an ongoing relationship which developed, and that friendship still exists. Like,
That's really nice to know. And I mean, along the way, you also got these Lithuanian and from Busan, you got collaborators, producers to come on board. I have a question about your stylistic choice of making the film, and then I'll open the questions to audience. Um, you have this very unobtrusive observational style, also where the stories of what happened to them and how they were, or when the acid attacks happen and how they've been, what life has been. It all comes very slowly and very gently through, either phone conversations or in passing as they're mentioning to someone else, or in Ritu's case through the TV playing in the cafe. Are these all choices that you made before you shot the film, or was it put together on the edit table? Just a little bit about the process of shooting with real life characters and moving with their life.
hmm. Yeah, I mean, the before I answer this, I'll just mention that it took quite a while to get these fundings and co-producers on board. Yeah, the Busan one came initially, and then the Lithuanians and the Koreans took. That was almost in the last year of production, so it was a really long and hard process.
So it was a long, arduous struggle till
Right.
light at the end of the tunnel. Okay.
Yeah. But in terms of filmmaking process, see, I was clear about one thing, and that was from almost the first shoot. I saw that almost everyone who came and met acid attack survivors showered them with pity, and and I also saw that there were very momentary interactions, whether it is, the media or whatever video shot of filmmakers which came in. They came, they took their bites, and they left. So there was a little bit of this glamorizing the idea of a survivor victim. And for me, I saw that this kind of the way they were repeating their stories every day continuously was leading into a space where it became a little bit unhealthy. And I think me and Ritu and Farah talked about it also, and how that there's a thin line between being a survivor and a victim, and where it can lead towards victimization as well. So my entire idea was that I want to, even through the film, slowly get to know them. And much like I did, like, so I kind of wanted the film to reflect the space that was created between us. So in a
So you also
way,
kind of
you're,
chose to
yeah,
not talk about Shiro's Cafe and Chow Foundation. Is it because you only wanted the focus to be on the girls?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so for me, like even my presence or Shiro's presence, it's all fine. But for me, what really matters is the most important and the most hard hitting incident that has happened, and that is what Ritu and Farah have faced. And Shiro's is something which you feel this presence anyway, and you feel the presence of me also. There is both these
True.
atmospheres. They function in different ways. And but the thing is that at the end of the day, the person who's dealing with this is the person who's also suffered from that incident. So I wanted to keep the focus on Ritu and Farah. And already it was very complicated, I think, to tie up the narratives of two women, which is Ritu and Farah, together, and forming one body, one soul. That was
Today,
quite
watching it with everyone was the third time for me watching it. And I think each time, actually, a lot of the gentleness in the editing and just the attitude towards the girls comes across. So, yeah. I'll open the questions to the audience now and then maybe come back.
Thank you, and congratulations on the film. Yeah, I had as I guess a similar question to what was just asked around the structure, because I felt like maybe you weren't even going to, have some of that backstory, but then it felt like it came, you know, like it was really heavy when it came, and both of those stories came quite close together. The backstories about what happened. So I was just wondering, yeah, and then it felt like, that it sort of ended soon after, and it felt, it sort of left with quite a, yeah, a heavy feeling, even though it ended on with the fashion parade. I felt like, yeah, it was. I'm just wondering about some of those, I guess, the decisions in the structuring, sort of having them quite close together. Those, yeah, those heavy moments.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. So one of the things which for me was also very important in terms of structuring was that I first reveal the circumstance that they exist in. So in a way, the social construct that surrounds them, where they work, what they do, what kind of um, what sort of correlation do they have to their space, to their families, and then slowly, the point is to get closer and closer to their mind, and that plays around in different ways. And the thing is also the attack itself can become, in a way, just a piece of information, and that's what I thought was happening. And like, when I noticed, because people were just capturing their stories by extraction, and I wanted to go beyond that extraction point so that you actually are able to get close to a person, and then you are able to understand what happens to them, and then you're able to really also feel how it feels to be them. So this was, I mean, that's how I wanted to really get to know them, and that's also kind of how I did. I mean, it was these sometimes, it was very interesting. Me and them, we used to sit in long silences, just like that, because after a while you keep talking, and then there's nothing to talk anymore. But in those long silences, sometimes, yeah, strange emotions and hidden emotions pop out. So that was something which happened quite a long period of time. And yeah, I hope I answered your question.
There's one more question.
Hello, sir. I just wanted to ask what took 5 years in this in the making of this film, and also what kept you going in this process, because like many of us shelve so many projects due to lack of motivation. So what made you keep going in these such a long time?
Thank you for your question. Also, you don't need to call me sir. So the motivation, I think there are two things. It's a personal desire. Somewhere I wanted to talk about gender-based violence, and I was very well aware that as a man, I'm making this film, and even if I was aware, and most of the times I was also made to be aware at every forum. Um, but it was something which for me had bothered me since I had grown up, whether it's inside the house or around the house or in the news, or it's just there everywhere. I think all of us know that. And it had reached a point of time that it somewhere had gotten deep inside of me. And like, I don't see that this is a matter of chance that I chose to make a film with Ritu and Farah. I think it was something which is almost was conditioned in my head that I want to make a film about this. And then one of the reasons why took me so long, to be very, very frank, is because this was my first film, and first feature film, and it takes a while to figure out how to really make the narrative work in this regard. And the other part is that it also, like, because such act of violence is it takes such a huge impact on your psychological state of mind, you really need that much time. It's not, it goes beyond trust. It goes beyond, it goes into this strange space where you already have trust, but like I understand that everyone's a social actor, but beyond that there is still something which is very subconscious. And for me to be able to get inside of that subconscious layer took me time, between the conscious and the subconscious. Yeah, that's how I see it. Because initially when I started, I had the desire to make this film. It was, I had a thought that I want to see cinema as a form of therapy, for the ones who are making and the fun, and for the ones who are in front of the camera. So kind of like a collective therapy.
Thank you, Siddhant. Thank you. Any other? Yeah. One more audience question. Two more.
Thank you for the film. Can you tell us more about the scene where you follow Farah back to her home and she's looking through the collection of photographs, what she looked like before the attack? Was that your idea or is that her idea?
Mm, I mean, so it was the first time I had gone to her home, and she was, and actually, so Ritu's home I had already been in the second year of filming, but Farah, somehow it never happened. Also, Farah's home was, like Ritu's from Rohtak, whereas Farah's from a very, very small village near Farrukhabad, which is in Uttar Pradesh. So finally, like there was this, a lot of excitement had built up over a long period of time, since I had not gone to Farah's house. And when I went, so there was, there's like, you have a lot of excitement. You're showing me this, they're showing me that, they're introducing me to their neighbors, they're showing me all the different things in the house. So in some of that, like, she also showed me the pictures, and I was just, yeah, that was, I think, the first, because I realized that that's also the first time I saw the pictures. I never asked for them otherwise. Like I never asked, how did you look before? And I don't know why, it did never cross my mind. But yeah, it was just like that. It wasn't a very consciously thought out thing. It was more like, okay, we were sitting, and then she said, "Oh, have you seen this?" It's because she had these little diaries on the wall, and they were stacked up, and that's it. She took out the pictures, and I was just looking. It wasn't a very thought out thing. It just happened.
Excuse me. No, no.
Hello, thank you very much for the film. It was really, sorry, like that. Is that better? Thank you very much for the film. It was really a powerful experience and an amazing journey. I think the sense of journey, I didn't get the sense of 5 years, but I did get, as you explain, just this sense of going deeper and deeper and a sense of time, allowing that to happen. I wondered, I had a couple of questions, one similar to the previous question about whether or not uh, you know, how often you met Ritu and Farah, and whether or not you had an idea about what you would explore on a particular day, or more like what you were saying when you went to visit the family, you met many different people. Were you filming all of that time? And then you really created the structure more delving through material when you were editing. And the other question was whether or not Ritu and Farah, like over the 5 years, did you make different drafts, and were they involved at all? Were they interested, and was that a process that happened between you where you looked at some of the footage and yeah, kind of got a sense between the three of you or more of you about what the response was to to them speaking to their stories?
Thank you for your question. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it took 5 years because a lot of the material that I've used, ended up using in the final edit, is from the last 2 years. Um, because it went through a bit of a evolution, as because I was also understanding how I'm going to be like in the edit. It was getting more and more clearer in the later years, and of course I worked with three different editors. So in the first two times it did not really pan out the way I wanted to, and repeatedly I would have to go back to shooting. With Ritu and Farah, they did not ask me to see the footage, or it wasn't that kind of a thing that they wanted to see what I'm editing and things like this. I sometimes remember I showed them some excerpts or trailers or something like this, but I think they were also over these years kind of waiting, okay, when will this final film come out? Will this even come out? Um, so yeah, it was this kind of a thing. And sorry, I forgot the second question.
Whether when you went to film, whether or not you had a
Ah,
particular idea about what you
right.
would explore on a day, or
Yeah.
how that unfolded.
So yeah, for example, like with Farah, I knew that there was a genuine desire to have a child or to get married. So I knew that, for example, if I'm going to her family house and her nephew is around, they end up playing a lot. So I knew that I wanted to film that. It was like an automatic reaction. And I had already seen it when they were having the phone call. So I had seen that desire for motherhood, and I had something which I wanted to focus on. And then that got even more um, clear for me in the edit. But subconsciously, I knew these kind of things. Otherwise, like for example, they would tell me if there's a fashion show. They would tell me if okay, they're like, because they were moving around a lot in different cities, Ritu, Farah, and Anshu. So there would be times that they would meet. And then, for example, Ritu would call me, okay, Farah and Anshu are coming. So it's been a year since I met them or something like this. So I would get really excited and like, okay, finally, that day has come where I can finally see Ritu, Farah, and Anshu together in this moment. So yeah, things like this. Similarly, I saw like when I went there with Ritu, and I saw that there was a wedding going on in our house. Now, of course, for me, that wedding could have us into a completely different story. But for me, that wedding remained more of a symbolic space rather than going into the story of why and whose wedding is going on. Like these women singing in their voices and that solidarity, I feel like there are subtle things which can be felt without giving context in those situations. And then for me, it was also very interesting how she and her niece were interacting with each other, and how she also called, like she said that her niece, like she used to look a lot like her niece when she was younger. So there were these little glimpses of like her excitement and her personality, which popped out in these correlations. So yeah, I mean, somewhere for me, these moments were precious because they tell me a lot about the kind of people they are.
Thanks, Siddhant. Any other questions? Keep it to, yeah. Okay, we'll keep it, yeah, last audience question. Yeah.
It's sort of an ending question, but I'm just wondering, because I guess films, documentaries exist in the world in a sort of bigger context than just the film. So I'm just wondering whether the film is being used for some kind of advocacy or education, or there's some kind of impact campaign, or how what you're doing with the film, sort of apart from kind of screenings like this or in festivals or so on.
Well, other than that, I haven't really managed to do beyond like impact screening, as you say. But yeah, as of now, I was just trying to make the film be watched in as many places as possible, so that the discourse continues. And then eventually, I wanted to place this film online and make it available as wide as possible. But if you have any ideas for impact distribution, please feel free.
No, I think just how positive this film is actually a message in itself. I mean, very early on when you're at Shiro's cafe, it doesn't say acid attack survivors or victim, it says fighters. And then the rest of the film, you see how these girls are fighters. So that, I mean, and just, how they get over, I'm sure there was anger, moving to acceptance, moving to courage. And they all say it. They say, मैं बहुत आगे आ गई हूँ अब, ऋतु से अब मैं तो परी हूँ, मैं उड़ती रहती हूँ. So, they all feel that they've probably come to a space in life where they would have otherwise never been. But I think just for someone like sitting in Bangalore who's, I mean, acid attacks happen so much in India, and often you don't see them so much in mainstream. You see it as, a durghatna or something terrible that's happened. But I just think that this platform that they've created, Shiro's Cafe, has given them a voice, agency, community. So I see it like three pillars of support for these girls. There's family, there's this sisterhood, there's the cafe, which is giving employment. So it's very heartening to also see how supportive the family is. And I'm sure there are a lot of girls who don't go back to the family, don't have the support. Because here also the perpetrator is known so well to the family. In Ritu's case, it's her own first cousin. So I think just so
In
much
Farah's
to,
case, it's a husband,
yeah,
ex-husband.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's so much to think about, but yeah, definitely heartwarming and makes you want to actually do more for the fighters. Yeah. On that note, Siddhant, shall we call it a close this evening? Any more questions or we can wrap up? Yeah. Claps can continue. Yes.
Thank you, everyone, and great to have this conversation at the end as well. Thank you for watching
Please
the
come
film.
to Bangalore in person with your next film. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Sandhya. Sandhya, thank you for organizing this.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.